Hey guys and girls, this time I want to talk about something very disturbing because in the recent years, during this, let's just call it warring period, people started to develop a very, very bad behavior. I think it's not unknown to anyone that X and TikTok and everything else is full of complete maniacs who are loudly saliva spitting, smartessing and arguing like who's the evil and who has to be destroyed no matter the cost. And we have to make every sacrifice to make sure that the specific someone's or nation is defeated. And then they joyfully celebrate the death of our human, of other human beings, of other people who just live their lives or try to live their lives, maybe, and politics talk into it. We got to the point where more and more people start to enjoy the bloodshed. Just a few days ago was, and it's a daily occurrence anyway, Ukraine and Russia bombing each other. The war is continuing. And we don't even get to the topic right now, why and how is it going, because everyone's like, oh, no, 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 no. They know so much. Everyone's a fucking researcher when it's coming about Ukraine or coming to the topic of the Ukrainian-Russian war. So I will make a video on that once when I will have enough patience for it. I don't want to get into it right now because people are stupid, okay? And people overreact crazily. And that shows how brainwashed we all are. People love to say that Americans are fallen for propaganda. They don't even see what's happening around them. But, brothers and sisters, Europe has the most sophisticated propaganda toolset in the world. And if you think what we have here is freedom, then I am sorry I have to disappoint you.
I look at the sort of ideological apparatuses of the European superstate. And yes, what I found was quite surprising, even for a critic like me, in a sense that I uncovered a system of narrative control that genuinely pervades every aspect of civil society, or I should say so-called civil society, as I think the report makes clear, the book makes clear, and of the public debate more in general. So, media, NGOs, universities, think tanks, they are all part of what I call the European propaganda machine, which is one that, by virtue of its pervasiveness, I think we can legitimately call neo-totalitarian. We're talking about huge amounts of resources and money, mostly coming from the European Commission, that are deployed to essentially promote the Commission's policies, its agenda, and this Europeanist and integrationist narrative more in general. Hundreds of millions of euros that are channeled every year into these various actors. Yes, essentially for what can only be described as really propaganda operations.
Main point of this video or this argument is not about to tell you who you should love or who you should dislike, but the fact that you should never hate anyone who didn't directly to you cause that hate. When you have never even seen a country, you've never even visited a specific region, most likely, or dare to say, and everything you know about that is something that was taught to you, you should think twice. Because the hypocrisy controlling our world right now is so bad that by now we ourselves, the civilians, started to take it up as well. And that is the worst thing that can happen. Because what we should aim for is peace. What we should aim is a peaceful future based on cooperation, based on the fact that we are one fucking humanity in unity. And instead, take a look around, we're back in the fucking 20th century, start of it. We are getting closer and closer to a world war just because our politicians are ever hungry. It's not about whether you, and there are more than one regions that is problematic, but I'm only focusing right now just on the Ukrainian-Russian war because this is the one that people are the most indoctrinated about. I would want to say confused, but no, it's not confusion. It's indoctrination. Think about it. Let's hope you're not like that, because I really want my followers, my listeners, or just us, a community, to be able to think. So, but I'm sure no matter who you are, you see how people react. And when you see people celebrating, there was an amazing attack, and the missiles and drones managed to get through the defense, and so many people died, and hope next time more people will be hit. What the fuck are you talking about? Do you hear yourself? Are you aware that you're celebrating other people's death? Do you feel what this whole thing is about when you feel happy and joyful on others' death? Do you understand this core issue that we're talking about? I want to bring a few examples up, and not to trash the European Union, because I myself is a member of it. I'm European. I'm a proud Hungarian, and I grew up here as well, but on the eastern border, so I had the opportunity to get real life experience as well, both with Ukraine, and I had a lot of connections to Russians as well. But what is important, that living here, I got a very different upbringing than most Westerners are. I don't even call myself Westerner at all. I luckily have not much to do with it, other than traveled extensively and had the opportunity in my life to see the world. Well, not enough of it, obviously. I would love to be that free, but shameful. It's not like that. But at least when I was younger, I had enough opportunities and chances to travel. And even now, I do so whenever I have the financial capacity or time for it. And East Europe is always a bit different historically as well. But we don't even have to go into it right now, okay? What is important? You try to put everything that happens with you on Russia, that it's their fault. Everything that's happening in the world right now is Russia's fault. Are you aware how many wars were started by the USSR/Russia? Because, first of all, it's Russia, not the Soviet Union anymore. That's where it starts, because people love to bring up what happened at that time. And that was awful. And even now, Russia is not perfect. Far from it. It's not even a question. But trying to blame everything on them, don't you think it should show you some pattern that it's very interesting, that always everything is because of Russia? Like, come the fuck on. In the last few years, basically the EU household electricity prices went up by 40%. The industrial electricity prices doubled, basically. And when we take a look at the gas prices comparative to the US, it is 3 times as high. 3. And the European Union is supposed to be about economical cooperation, so every single member can do the best in what they do, and then freely interchange or exchange the knowledge or the materials to be able to develop faster. And do you see any development nowadays here? Why is it happening? Tell me. what kind of democracy is where the government says you're saying as the citizen of the country doesn't matter? Hmm? Why do you want to put always everything on a specific nation as if it's their fault always, and call that, let's just get back to the basics as well. You call Russia the evil because they attacked Ukraine. They are the worst. They attacked Ukraine. We have to protect Ukraine no matter what, sending hundreds of billions of euro from our money. Are you aware just this year, this single year, the United States of America attacked 3 countries? And we only talk about the major direct attacks. Or not necessarily attacks, but direct involvement. Iran, I think you've heard about it. Let's hope you're not living under a rock. Venezuela, where they kidnapped a sovereign state's president. And it doesn't matter whether you call it a drug lord or not, it's a president. And they kidnapped him during broad daylight. And Cuba, where they're still keeping a relatively poor and completely innocent country in brutal sanctions, where hospitals can't get electricity, where people can't get heating, just because, oh wait, Trump said it out literally, we want that island. So I'm sorry, how comes you're not so outraged about the US? Oh, Russia is the evil, they attacked Ukraine, we have to defend no matter what. Bro, that's called fucking hypocrisy. Are you aware of it? Do you feel it? The US did 3 times the same shit, and you couldn't care less. Already stole billions of dollars in oil from Venezuela, and then now when there was a double earthquake, a huge one, and thousands died already, and humanitarian aid is needed, and a huge issue right now in Venezuela because they are without a fucking president thanks to the US, and there is a state emergency. They offered $150 million help. They are heroes. They stole billions of oil, and now they offered back as a humanitarian aid not even 1/10 of it. So what the fuck are you talking about? It's not about Russia, okay? Again, it's not about Ukraine either. It's about the hypocrisy. It's about the fact that if you're a smart person, if you're an open-minded person, you're supposed to have a standard and have principles. And when you say someone goes over that, and according to your standards, they belong to the evil, then everyone should. Not, oh, Russia is evil because they attacked Ukraine. America attacks 3 other countries. America is amazing. They are saving them, right? I love that. Oh my God, how brain dead some people are. The US is saving the Venezuelans by kidnapping their president because he was a drug lord. Bro, are you fucking aware of the meaning of propaganda? Are you aware that most terrorist organization in the world was created by the UK, by the US and Israel? The CIA, the MI6 and Mossad? The fuck are you even talking about? You don't know half of the shit that's happening in the world, but you're outraged about Russia and willing to, I don't know, fucking die to defend Ukraine against it. Have you ever seen any of those countries in real life? Because I bet you haven't. And the problem is a mindset. You've never even seen the country. You've never even been there. You don't even know the real issues, because there are real issues as well there. And you want to justify their behavior. You want to tell who is the evil, who is the bad guy, who's the big bad bear. Well, big bad wolf, but it's a big bad bear. without knowing anything how extremely corrupt Ukraine is and was from the beginning. It's not about which side you're on, it's about the fact that you should not fall for propaganda. You should not fall for such basic brainwashing, because we live in the age of information and you have the right as well to search up things or just question them, and you should always question everything. And you rather listen to people with fucking dog pictures in their profile than try to find the truth for yourself, or just say like, I don't know what the fuck is happening, I don't want to get involved, or I don't agree with it, and you know what, avoid buying Russian products because that's how I myself is fighting against the system. But no, you're wishing the death of Russian people because some brainwashed idiot is telling you to. Are you even aware that most of those NAFO cretins are paid by Israel? And I'm not talking about hawks. These are all clarified information. The problem that people don't want to see that, and our future can only be our future if we realize what's happening around us, if we are willing and standing up to injustice, if we are standing up to our own politicians saying like, no, European Union is a European Union and what we want to do is fight for human rights, instead of falling for every kind of bullshit. Let's talk a little bit about the numbers, because it shouldn't be about the numbers, because as we discussed, it's not about necessarily Russia. It is about the mindset. But to be able to help you make your own opinion about it, it is very important to talk about numbers as well, so you understand why there is an argument, okay? And why you should not just fall for propaganda. There's nothing better to say it, because propaganda, the word itself, defines what's happening. The United States, since the end of the Second World War, has initiated more than 250 military interventions worldwide, which means direct war or indirect military aid, false informations, and just, pushing other groups to fight for freedom, and then later calling them terrorists. 250 plus times. Do you know how many Russians did in the same setup? 40. Approximately 40. But Russia is the evil guy. Do you know how many the fantastic European countries did? The justice fighters. The safest place on earth. The UK alone had more than 80. France approximately 35, 40. Even compared to European numbers, Russia did less. I'm not saying they are the good guys necessarily, although in my opinion, this war is very obvious how it's happening and what's happening. But again, I'm not getting into that. It's not about me, it's about you, and it's about it should about be the mindset that you don't let others to decide what's good and what's bad. 250 plus times the United States of America attacked other nations to protect its interest. Russia attacked now Ukraine, and suddenly you're outraged. Don't you understand that it's not your own thought process? Or why are you not outraged when US does what it does? Why are you not outraged when they're bombing schoolgirls in Iran? Why are you not outraged when they're kidnapping a president in Venezuela and then literally stealing all the oil? Why are you not outraged that Hawaii is an American state when it was a sovereign kingdom? Do you even know how Hawaii became an American state? I would recommend you to check it. It's very important to understand that there is a very close elite circle in the world who are making most of the decisions. But right now, I want to focus on Russia and Ukraine. I want to focus on Europe because we have the biggest issue right now here. And we are trying to exploit others. And we are being exploited by our own elite, our own politician circle. Do we even know how bad the situation is right now here? The Commission is getting increasingly presidentialized. Basically, one single person making massive decisions. Von der Leyen, that corrupt bitch, basically without any democratic oversight. She repeatedly used emergency legal clauses to bypass the European Parliament. And you know what is the biggest problem? You, or not you, but European citizens, only choose one part of the European Union directly in election, and that's the European Parliament. The Commission has nothing to do with you. You are not choosing who's the commissioner, and you're not choosing who's sitting in the Commission. And how von der Leyen was chosen in itself speaks length about how rotten to the core the EU is by now. And she's even fighting for more power and taking away the decision from the parliament, which we choose. So you choose people to the parliament to represent you, who chooses the Commission to control the European Union, and she decided that she's using excuses and grace on emergency legal framing to do whatever the fuck she wants. How can you call it freedom? How can you call it an amazing place when the countries are forced, basically criminalized, if they're not following suggestions from the European leadership, from the Commission? Take a look at what happened in Poland, Slovakia, Romania, Hungary. What the EU does right now is basically using economic threats to keep in control the member states. It's not a cooperation anymore. There is one elite circle who controls everything, and most states has no chance than to comply. How can you think you live in freedom? How can you think you have a free choice? Or you know who to hate? When from your childhood, from the moment you were born, the European Union pushed in your face, well, since you were a child, who knows, or a young adult, that we are the best. European Union, everyone wishes to be a member. That's why the UK left, right? But not even about them, because thank you for leaving, honestly. And that would have been a perfect chance for the European Union to get back to the good road, because the UK is a joke of a country. It's a fallen gentry society that only knows two things: how to lie and how to use propaganda to ruin countries all around the world with disinformation and their intelligence agency. Diplomacy, right? By failing governments, by sending in the MI6 to support terrorist organizations. That is the UK. Who is the biggest supporter of Israel right now? I mean, in the EU, Europe. But you know what? Let's just stick to the Israel part, because I think by now I don't have to tell to you that the Zionists are the evil themselves. They are the fucking antichrist. Murdering little babies, newborns. Laughing on shooting children to death. Bragging about how many civilians they murdered. Using little boys as sniper practice. Burning families alive in their cars. And raping on camera without questioning. That is Israel. That is the most disgusting, despicable, deranged society in the world. A pampered, pathetic society which thinks they can do everything. A society that's so fucking sick in their head. They live in a god complex thinking they are direct descendants of the gods and they can do whatever they want.
Doctors in Gaza keep treating one specific kind of patient, children with a single bullet wound. The adult beside them, unharmed. A UN commission found that 17 doctors saw the same kind of injury in different hospitals. One doctor witnessed 5 separate cases of children who'd been shot by a quadcopter, and that was just in her first 2 weeks of deployment in Gaza. A bomb can miss its target, a sniper rarely will. So is the Israeli military deliberately targeting children in Gaza? In the first 2 years of Israel's war on Gaza, its military killed more than 20,000 children. That's nearly 1/3 of everyone killed.
Fuck your mom, yo. Ridiculous. And ridiculous that you think Russia is the evil. When take a look at what the fuck is happening in Palestine, in Lebanon, and soon in Syria. That they commit genocide. And the European Union, do you know what the fuck they do? The big human rights defenders who protect Ukraine no matter the cost. Germany, up until today, sends 1/3 of every single weapon used in Israel to support their genocide. The UK, up until today, protects every single member of the Israeli rats, swine, the cancer of humanity. And take a look at the European Union altogether. When, despite the International Court of Justice rulings for plausible genocide, my ass by the way, for genocide, for mass murder, they sent out warrants against Israeli leaders, among them Netanyahu himself, and the EU maintained every single trade agreement with Israel. Have you heard about a single fucking trade agreement being cancelled? No. Because the European Union is not about human rights. It's not about protecting what's right. It's too fucking time to understand as well the European Union is nothing more either than a wannabe superpower. There is no protecting Ukraine. There is protecting what we want. There's no protecting Ukrainians, the poor people, because we protect every human being because equality is the most important. Does it look like to you like that? What's happening in Palestine right now looks something as human rights protection and equality to you? Then why do you let the same swine tell you what to think and who to hate and to celebrate the death of other human beings? Because they're Russians and Russia is evil. You see, I was always a very, very proud European growing up because I grew up here as well. I got the same disgusting propaganda since my childhood or from my early ages. And I thought that yes, Europe is the future. Europe is the example. We show the world what is democracy. We show what is human rights. And we show cooperation is the future. Does it look like that to you? When now you exit your own home in the evening and you go for a little walk, does it what the future feels like to you? Be honest about yourself. Do you even dare to walk in the evening alone in your own home city? Is it the future to you? You know, in Russia, you don't have to feel scared at all. In China, there's pretty much zero chance that anyone would ever attack you. And somehow, it's still those countries are the evil. China is just stealing everything and ruining businesses, right? And Russia is the evil for protecting its border, or you know what, attacking a country still on its own border, while America, sitting here on the map, attacked Iran all the way there on the map. Very big border, I would say. It's whole Europe and Africa is in it. We live in the age of information. We live in the 21st century. And everything that we built as humans, starting from the United Nations, continuing with NATO, everything is about how to push down others. Do you even know what atrocities us Europeans, and I even say us, although I had nothing to do with it, nor any European, any Hungarian, I think, ever, or most East Europeans. Only the West, the very rich West. They're so rich, I wonder why. Do you know how many millions of people were killed by the European colonization? But somehow we have to pay for the atrocities committed by the Nazis. And only Israel is the only country in the world that is completely repaid for all of these. None of the African countries. And Europe is still exploiting all of them with debt traps. Support. Humanitarian aid, all right? We're supposed to be better than this. That's the saddest part, you know. We were supposed to be better. Even the Vatican by now is criticizing the European Union for double standard they use. That they use every possible propaganda tool to trash Ukraine, to trash Russia, sorry, in order to support Ukraine. That they're defending every atrocities that Ukrainians commit because, oh, it's acceptable as long as it's against the Russians, Russian influence. The Vatican has to highlight the hypocrisy in Europe. Do you feel that? That's very good now. Fernandez, Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez, who's the head of the dicastery for the doctrine of the faith, specifically said, I'm trying to quote, that if a country is considered an enemy, it is condemned and sanctioned. But if it is an ally, similar human rights or democratic failings are overlooked completely. And he singled out the EU for imposing sanctions on same states while supporting others. Ukraine, supporting Nazi ideologies, using symbols that is highlighting how many Polish people they murdered during the Second World War. Completely acceptable. It is just against the fascist Russians. Again, what fascism in Russia, by the way? So the fact that people don't even know what is the fucking difference between fascism and communism, that's fascinating for me. But again, everyone has their own cup of tea. And Israel committing mass murder, literally erasing cities, non-stop bombing civilians in tents. They are our buddies. Oh, but Russia attacking Ukraine. Oh my God, we have to protect Ukraine. We have to kill them all. We have to murder them and send them a few hundred more billions, which comes back to their pockets, by the way. I have a full-on video, check it out, about how 577 billion euro is lost from the European budget that was put aside as a fund to help businesses survive the COVID. The COVID in which during von der Leyen, our great leader, had a little bit of an issue called the Pfizergate incident. And the fact how ridiculous this whole thing was, that she just did it again, by the way. Oh yeah, the message disappeared. I don't understand how it works. You know, I'm not really good with smartphones, but I lead the world's richest area, which is supposed to be a technological superpower once, maybe. But it's a very complicated thing to use a smartphone, so I don't know how it got deleted. Oh my god. Are you fucking serious? And this is the European Union. This is the leadership that you believe in, that Russia is evil. Again, just try to ignore everything else. Try to empty the fucking cabbage from your head and think about it this way. Russia attacking Ukraine, bad. America attacking Iran, good. Israel killing civilians, literal children, good. Do you need a definition of hypocrisy? And while businesses are failing in Europe, and while people losing their jobs, tens of thousands, and during the years, hundreds of thousands jobs were cancelled because, well, but budget is tight. They cut salaries. They cut AC use right now, right? Somehow I have never heard a single politician reducing its own salary, saying like, oh yeah, we have to cut back. Woo! What a surprise. So, yeah, Russia is the evil, right? They may be. You know what? It doesn't really matter. I don't give a fuck what you think. What I care about is that as a human being, you should be able to create your own thought processes. And as a human being, you should be able to differentiate between listening to brain-dead fucking NAFO idiots who know literally nothing, who are always the most uneducated idiots, and by the way, half of them is paid by fucking Zionists, and between maybe using your own fucking head. And maybe don't just hate people randomly without knowing anything. Not that fucking difficult to use it. I'm sure the gears are very rusty by now after watching so many TikTok videos. But try once in a while. Thrive in using your fucking head. Or we won't have a future. And that is my biggest issue, and that's why I'm getting annoyed by that. It's not about war. There is everything problem with war, by the way. But the fact that in the 21st century we are still playing with human lives, that in the 21st century still a fucking elite circle is stealing everything from us, and you're blind to it. How much percentage of your salary goes to taxes? Tell me, how is it possible that some nations can work without taxes, flourishing, developing rapidly, just because oil? Bro, every country has something, so how comes that they can do it just with oil, because they don't have anything else, and the big European Union, which has everything else, has the world's highest taxing rate? How comes? And how comes you still have such a shit road that you have to take your car to repair every second fucking year? I wish it was every second year, every half a year, so twice a year. How comes you cannot afford AC when in India and Pakistan every single house has one? How are we the first world country then? And how comes you still believe that Russia is the evil? And oh my god, the atrocities they committed in the Second World War, and after that the Soviet Union is the worst. And you still think that regarding Poland, because I have a lot of Polish friends and it's fascinating how fake their education is. Not the people's, I mean how fake is what they educate in the school. Everyone thinks the Soviet Union was the worst. And it was bad. There's a reason why it collapsed, but And how many people were murdered, sent to the gulags or to Siberia to die in work camps, which was true, it happened. And there were big massacres as well, very famous ones. But the numbers are still not even 1/5 of what the Nazis committed. The numbers, when we talk about it, the USSR murdered about 15,000 Polish military personnel in the Katyn massacre. It's a very well-known thing. 15,000 and mainly high-rank officials and what's the word for it? Sophisticated people, university students and teachers were murdered. So basically, the whole head of Poland was executed. Yes, that's true. Not even a question. As I mentioned before, working camps and gulags. There were many people deported, and it was a brutal time. Don't misunderstand me. I'm Hungarian. We were under the occupation of the USSR as well, and I know how much people suffered. Again, it's not fucking USSR anymore. But what is the problem? That they focus on that one and how bad it was. They have no idea how many people were murdered by the Nazis. And that shows a huge issue as well, that somehow it's in everyone's memory how many Jewish was murdered. And it's true. It was awful. And that started most of the problems in the world as well. So good job, Germany, as always. But they have no idea about the full numbers, apparently. Because not just Jewish, Polish people were murdered. Approximately 1.8 to 1.9 non-Jewish Polish citizens were murdered by the Nazi Empire. 1.9 million. And on top of that, 3 million Jewish Polish citizens. So 4.8 to 4.9 million. Close to 5 million Polish citizens was murdered by the Nazi Empire in a few years. Bro, under the Soviet Union, together with the Katyn massacre, close to 100,000 Polish citizens was murdered. It's a huge number. It's awful. Not denying it, nor trying to play it down. It was a stupid and fucked up act. But the fact that you still fear them and not the Germans, where the fuck is your head? You can see the Nazi ideology still out, both in Germany, and by the way, Germany was not alone in it, let's just say. There were many Nordic states, and there were many, how do I say, Ukrainians, who openly joined right away the Nazi Empire, even betraying their own comrades, or their own country, or their own homeland. And somehow you still fear Russia the most. They are imperialistic and want to conquer Ukraine. They will kill us all. Double standards and hypocrisy. That's the problem. The fact that you let the European elite change your mind. The fact that you let some NAFO cretins, who are usually the most fucked up cretins in the world, tell you what should you think? The same people who walk in colors in the street because I identify as a dog. And you believe these people. And you hate Russia because of these people. So I'm sorry, but the problem is you also. Anyway, I just want you to all to understand that hating without having the reason and celebrating bloodshed, which has no ever any reason to, shows how indoctrinated we are right now and how much the politicians are fucking up our mind. Just some food for your thought. We should be better than this. And we should always try to find the solution for peace, for cooperation. And instead, we are back to square zero. We have a dollar trillionaire in the world. Yoo-hoo! Elon Musk, Elon Musk, Elon Musk, Elon Musk. And still 3 billion people is without food in the world. Good job, humanity. Good fucking job. But America is a land of freedom, right? Literally everyone is living in generational debt. Even their grandchildren will pay the loan that they took for the fancy schmancy Ford Mustang GTQ wow woo, that they can drive around showing off in TikTok that I'm so rich. But who cares, because I have a car, right? The fact that giving birth costs $100,000 that you will never be able to pay back. The fact that for you to start a life, to finish university, you pay hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes. In best cases, tens of thousands. In worst cases, hundreds of thousands. And somehow that debt while you're working and paying is just increasing instead of disappearing. That's not an issue, because Russia is the evil. Because communism is the evil. The fact that we go to the point where somehow communism is the evil in the world, and we talk about pure communism, not what the USSR was, and it still somehow survives every single time, while democracies are failing, because, by the way, there is no democracy in the world. There is no pure democracy anywhere. Just ask Google if you don't know anything else. Ask Chatajapata, a very, very stupid-ass AI, but everyone knows it, so better than nothing, I assume. What is the definition of democracy? And does any country in the world fit the criteria of pure democracy? Nope. As long as your boss is earning 1,000 times more than you who works for him, I think that's an issue. As long as we have trillionaires in the world, multi-billionaires, competition to who can be the second trillionaire, but they're kidnapping little children to cut them up, literally, and sell their body parts. Where we have Epstein Islands where they children and then bury them in the background because they were kidnapped from Ukraine, they were kidnapped from Africa, they were kidnapped from South America. I think it's a problem. And instead of focusing on these issues and focusing on why the fuck you cannot afford to feed your family, you think Russia is the issue? I think that's an issue, because we should see that our own politicians are screwing out with us. Look, you can believe whatever you want. You can hate on Russia. It's your decision. I'm not a politician, okay? I won't tell you what to think. I would just like to ask you all to try to watch behind the tree. Try to think for yourself and try to realize that if I have so much hate in me towards a nation I've never even seen with my own eyes, where the fuck is it coming from? Because maybe then you will start to pay attention to what is propaganda. Because when you have to put out on every table that's supported by the EU, financed by the EU, built with the EU funding, well, you have to see big billboards with EU together forever. We are the best. Then maybe they try to tell you what to think, because, you know, if the system works, why do you need billboards? If the system works, why do I have to sign every single time that I got this and that amount from the EU? Okay, thanks. It's my own fucking money as well. The EU is not a Red Cross organization. It works from our taxing money. So the problem is so much a normal part of our life that you think it's normal. It's not. And as long as you think this is democracy, what we have here, But what they have in the Middle East, for example, that's an issue as well. Because, you know, I've been to a few countries in the Middle East as well, and I think you would wish to have a life like them. Although they are Muslim terrorists. And if I can recommend you one more thing, by the way. Check the Jerusalem Conference in 1979. And then the second conference on international terrorism in 1984. Organized by the Jonathan Institute. And be careful, because it's very deep where the rabbit hole goes. What can I say? We're supposed to be better than this, humanity. At least that's what I want to believe in. And I want to believe in all of you, all of us. Because only we can change the future. Because the line we are heading down on the road, it's a very, very dark